The Colosseum fight looks like the most ambitious location shoot in Hong Kong cinema history. It was captured without permits in a few stolen hours. These are 15 hidden details you completely missed in the way of the dragon. Number 15. The Colosseum fight reads as a meticulously planned international location shoot. It was not. Bruce Lee, producer Raymond Chow, and assistant director Ching-Shun Mao bribed local officials, entered posing as tourists, and captured only exterior wide shots in a few stolen hours before time ran out. The actual duel was completed on a Colosseum-mock soundstage at Golden Harvest in Hong Kong. Matthew Polly's biography Bruce Lee, A Life confirmed that Mao described the bribery and tourist disguise directly. Look at the intercut shots during the duel. Wide arches and columns alternate with tight close-ups that never fully match the outdoor light. Rewatch the full sequence knowing the most iconic martial arts location ever filmed was assembled across 2 continents in the editing room. The next secret is hiding inside that same sequence. Number 14. Stray cats appear throughout the Colosseum sequence. A calico crosses between the fighters mid-duel. A tabby kitten watches from the shadows. Those animals were authentic Roman strays living inside the monument. No one brought them to set. Editor Peter Cheung, who won the Golden Horse Award for Best Film Editing for this film, deliberately intercut the kitten across the duel as a visual counterpoint to Chuck Norris's physical scale. Look for the small kitten sitting at the edge of the arena in wide shots. It reappears in multiple cuts before and after the duel's turning point. Rewatch knowing the most recognized animal in Hong Kong cinema history was an unplanned visitor who earned its role entirely in post-production. Number 13. Norris appears in the Colosseum fight as a physically imposing opponent who towers over Bruce Lee in every early exchange. That size was manufactured for the camera. The production asked Norris to deliberately gain weight so he would look larger than Lee on screen. Norris confirmed in Empire magazine that he ate cheeseburgers and malts until he gained approximately 20 pounds, which he described as mostly body fat. He added that the extra weight meant he could not perform jump kicks because he could not get off the ground. Watch the early fight exchanges. Norris moves noticeably heavier and slower than his karate competition footage from the same period. Rewatch knowing his physical dominance in the first act was a calculated production decision, not his fighting weight. Number 12. The Rome sequences feature extended footage of Piazza del Popolo, the Trevi Fountain, Vittoriano, and the Foro Romano, presenting as a lavish production with unrestricted location access. The route Nora Miao drives from the airport passes these landmarks in a geographic sequence that is impossible. Locations loop back on themselves with each cut. Lee shot these sequences to give Asian audiences a European postcard while grabbing every usable frame before officials could intervene. Location verification by Real Streets confirmed the geographic impossibility across successive cuts. Look at the airport driving sequence and track the landmarks. The geography reverses itself multiple times. Rewatch knowing what reads as confident international filmmaking was a race against interference with disguised cameras. The budget behind that race was already paid before anyone boarded a plane. Number 11. The Way of the Dragon had a total production budget of approximately $130,000, a severe constraint for a film shooting across Europe and Hong Kong simultaneously. That entire budget was covered by Taiwan pre-sale agreements before a single frame was captured. Lee and Raymond Chow had complete creative freedom with zero financial pressure from the start. Lee co-founded Concord Productions with Chow specifically to escape the directorial oversight he experienced working under Lo Wei on his 2 previous Golden Harvest films. Look at the opening credits. The Concord Productions banner marks the first film where Lee controlled every creative decision simultaneously. Rewatch knowing the unconventional structural choices throughout were possible because every financial constraint was paid off before production began. Number 10. The camera work throughout the film is credited to a relatively unknown name, Ho Lang Shang. That name did not exist. Ho Lang Shang was Tadashi Nishimoto, the cinematographer who shot director King Hu's landmark Come Drink With Me in 1966, one of the most technically respected wuxia films in Chinese cinema. Lee and Chow hired Nishimoto for his prestige experience, but credited him under a Chinese pseudonym. Eric Pellerin's 2019 article in Sage Journals documented this as part of a strategy to present the film as a fully Chinese creative production. Look at the wide Rome Street compositions and compare them to the tight studio interiors. The visual grammar shifts distinctly between the 2 settings. Rewatch knowing the film's technical pedigree was deliberately concealed from its first audience. Number 9. The stunt sequences throughout the restaurant and alley fights feature anonymous crowd performers that most viewers have never examined closely. Two of them are Yuan Biao and Yuan Hua, classmates of Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung from the China Drama Academy Peking Opera program. Both worked uncredited here before becoming major stars. Yuan Biao later doubled Bruce Lee in both Enter the Dragon and Game of Death. Watch the background fighters in the alley confrontation sequences and look for the smallest and most acrobatically precise performers. Their movement vocabulary is distinct from the extras around them. Rewatch knowing two performers who would define Hong Kong action cinema for decades are hidden in sequences most viewers have already memorized. The music over those sequences carries its own hidden history. Number 8. Composer Joseph Koo wrote original material for the film, but the most dramatically significant music was borrowed from other productions entirely. Ennio Morricone's score from Once Upon a Time in the West plays during the Colosseum sequences. John Barry's Diamonds Are Forever underscores a key betrayal in the restaurant storyline. Cues from Billy Jack appear throughout. Lee explicitly cited Sergio Leone's Western standoff structure as his model for the climactic duel, and then placed Leone's composer's music over it. Listen for the Italian Western orchestration during the circling sequence before the duel begins. Rewatch knowing the film's most powerful moments were scored by composers on two separate continents who had no idea their work was being used. Number 7. The Way of the Dragon was shot entirely without sound and every line was recorded in post-production. Bruce Lee dubbed almost every English-speaking character, including a single line from the mob boss. The mob boss was John T. Ben, an American businessman cast after meeting Raymond Chow at a cocktail party, paid approximately $258 for a week's work. Ben later said he did not know who Bruce Lee was at the time of casting. Listen to the English dialogue across multiple characters. The phrasing does not always align with the physical performance on screen. Rewatch knowing the voice behind nearly every English-speaking role belonged to the same person who wrote, directed, and starred in the film. The finishing technique in the climactic moment came from an unexpected source. Number 6. The hold Lee uses to end the Colosseum fight does not belong to any Chinese martial tradition. It is a grappling neck crank learned directly from Ed Judo Jean LaBelle, the American grappling champion who defeated professional boxer Milo Savage in a documented 1963 cross-discipline match. Lee's integration of LaBelle's technique was a deliberate demonstration of Jeet Kune Do's central principle: absorb what is useful from any tradition. Watch the final hold and look at the body position and neck angle. Neither corresponds to any Chinese martial arts form visible elsewhere in the film. Rewatch knowing the climactic moment of the most celebrated Chinese martial arts film of its era is technically a Western grappling submission. The Italian version of this film built a different story around different characters. Number 5. In the original Hong Kong version, Uncle Wang accepts a payment from the mob and betrays the restaurant, a minor moral failure within a larger ensemble story. The Italian theatrical cut completely rewrote Uncle Wang as the secret crime boss orchestrating the entire operation, transforming him from a supporting character into the film's central antagonist. This was done without Bruce Lee's involvement after production concluded. Watch Uncle Wang's scenes. The same actor, the same footage, a different character imposed through dubbing and re-editing for a single regional market. The Italian version restructures the film's moral architecture entirely. Rewatch knowing two different films with different central villains were built from identical source material. Norris's response to his own defeat in that source material shaped one of the most significant casting decisions in Hollywood history. Number 4. After the Colosseum fight made both performers internationally famous, Bruce Lee offered Chuck Norris a significant role in Enter the Dragon, the Warner Brothers co-production that introduced Lee to Western cinema. Norris declined. According to Matthew Pauly's account in Bruce Lee: A Life, Norris refused because he did not want to appear to lose to Lee a second time on screen. The role went to Bob Wall, who was Norris's own business partner at the Sherman Oaks Karate Studio in California. Look at Bob Wall in Enter the Dragon, then find him in Way of the Dragon as a European henchman. The same performer replaced his own business partner in both films. Rewatch knowing one refusal on the Colosseum set shaped the casting of the most important martial arts film ever made. Number 3. The Way of the Dragon was the only film where Bruce Lee simultaneously served as sole writer, director, producer, lead performer, and fight choreographer. Biographer Matthew Pauly documents that Lee purchased approximately a dozen books covering cinematography, editing, and directing, and studied them before stepping onto a set as director for the first time. Lee applied the same systematic self-teaching method he had developed for Jeet Kune Do to an entirely separate discipline. Look at the editorial rhythm of any fight sequence. Each cut is precisely timed to a sound effect rather than to a natural physical pause, a consistent editorial decision across every sequence in the film. Rewatch knowing that specific rhythmic approach was developed by a first-time director who had never filmed a single scene before production on this film began. Number 2. Editor Peter Cheung captured far more cat footage than appears in any single scene, distributing calico, tabby, and background cats across the Colosseum duel and restaurant exterior sequences. The technique of inserting animals to reflect human action appears directly across Sergio Leone's Western films, which Lee had explicitly named as structural models for this production. Cheung applied that borrowed principle to footage he had not planned to have. Look for the cat in the background of the final wide Colosseum shot. It sits at the edge of the arena in the last position it occupies across the entire duel. Rewatch knowing the stray kitten that wandered onto the Colosseum set became the film's most deliberate visual metaphor because one editor decided to use every frame of unplanned footage he had. Number 1. The Way of the Dragon premiered in Hong Kong on December 30th, 1972, breaking every existing box office record in the territory. It was not released in the United States until August 1974, more than a year after Bruce Lee's death in July 1973. American distributor Bryanston Pictures renamed it Return of the Dragon to suggest it was a sequel to Enter the Dragon, reversing the chronological order of the two films. The film grossed an estimated $130 million worldwide, approximately 1,000 times its budget. Look at any American theatrical poster from 1974. The marketing positions it as a follow-up to a film that predates by over a year. Rewatch knowing the version most Western viewers grew up with was renamed and released out of order to capitalize on Lee's death. The Way of the Dragon was directed by a first-time filmmaker who learned from books, shot across 2 continents without permits, scored with borrowed music, and renamed in America to fake a sequel. Every confident frame hides a decision made under constraint. Watch it again. Which hidden detail surprised you most? And what film should we open next?